Bricks and mortar for the avant-garde. This is a talk about creativity and about its relation to place. Does the avant-garde need bricks and mortar? We think of the avant-garde as that group, those disciplines at the event horizon who sense what's coming next. Here we are in this spiral galaxy. Where is the event horizon located? A Seri Indian composed this song. Amati yahe anomotai amatsoi huea. Amati yahe anomotai amatsoi huea. He located the creative impulse there at the edge of the world. Do we need to be located at the edge ourselves, or is what we need simply a space to receive? Thoreau located a possible place for this invention at Walden Pond. I came to Walden Pond because I wanted to live with deliberation and to front only the essential acts of life and to learn what they had to teach me, and not to know when I came to my death that I had not lived. Where does creativity come from? Where is invention from? This is Werner Heisenberg's quantum fluctuation formula. It describes the relation between a change in time and a change in energy. And it provides that because of that interrelation, at one moment, something can come out of nothing. Do we know this in our own lives? These two guys were waiting to see that happen, and they may have been in the wrong place. Dali took something in a system of food and the natural environment and placed it into our technology. That displacement and replacement is essential to creativity, and it is a process of analogy. Analogy, from the Greek analogia. Ana, a preposition describing place. Logia, thought, speech, reckoning. It is a cognitive process that requires the movement of one thing to another. A has a relation to B, and we move it from C to D, to that pair. Here we are looking through the triangular windows of the New Delhi Museum at the pavers describing the golden rectangle. The golden rectangle is that rectangle with the relation of A is to B as B is to A plus B. And it's a metaphysical concept that orders much of human intellectual activity. That is, the small part is to the larger part, as that larger part is to the next scale. But how does this reckoning occur? How do we move from one place to another? What's the process like? The surrealists said that creative acts issue from a sudden displacement based on irrationality or a perception of the marvelous, something that frees us entirely from the burdens of our expectations. As in René Magritte's sudden displacement of reality by seeing the reflected image being transposed. Once the removal from expectation occurs, the next movement is so simple. Dali's work is much about that displacement. Here in his painting, we see his nursemaid seated on a beach. She has displaced his mother, and from her body is displaced the bedside table, and from it another table. And then the whole scene is a displacement from Spain in Dali's biography being moved to Paris because of the war. In the techniques of visual arts, we rely on this displacement. We use collage, we use inversion, we use the replacement of one object with another. And we find that these processes are totally permeable across the membrane of experience. So business and art and technology are interchangeable. once the idea is invented. Apple may have thought when it created a horizontal monopoly of computers and telephones and handheld devices of Dali, who essentially had a horizontal monopoly himself, painting and film and fashion, perhaps. I recently saw on the internet 40 principles of business innovation, and here are a couple of them. Turn things the other way around. Great idea. Where does that come from? Well, here's Boselitz's inversion of the human figure. He painted since the 60s all of his human figures upside down. Not because he wanted for you to see them upside down necessarily, but so that he would have to reinvent that process. He had to create a new perception of the human being. Principle 14 was curvature. Take what's flat and make it round, as in Fernando Botero. And principle 26 was copying. Instead of using unavailable expensive materials, replace a system with something that is a copy. And this was the procedure of Andy Warhol, as we know. One of the great innovators, Arcimboldo, in the 16th century, used fruits and flowers to create portraits of human beings. Now, if we were in business distributing water, we might decide to make a bottle shaped in a way that could be something else. Perhaps it could be made into sculptures, perhaps something very utilitarian. Perhaps the shapes could be interlocking so that you could construct walls and housing with this material. Does the creative process, we wonder, require a place? Couldn't it take place in the ether, abstractly? Oh yes, the ether is a place. Are all places the same? You are here at the Dali Museum Theater, and this is the Temple of Fortuna, a place swept clean, where ideas were received, where human and divine voices mingled. And this is the Temple of Fortuna, displaced from Rome, taken to Charlottesville, Virginia. This is Thomas Jefferson's university, the first public university in America, and he borrowed two elements, the form itself and the idea that a place could be the transfer of essential ideas. Jefferson's university, by the way, was the first university ever centered around a library rather than a chapel. Does the shape of things occur arbitrarily? Is one as good as another? This is actually the structure of the Parthenon, based on the golden rectangle, and all its parts relate the smaller to the larger still. We have a need for place and its specific structure. We went through scrub oak, where you told us, Odysseus, glory of commanders, until we found a dwelling in a glade, a place of marble, smooth stone, and a girl singing at her loom, a chill, sweet song, a goddess or a girl, we could not tell. There's something about stone swept clean, a clear floor, the walls reverberating with our prayers, with our aspirations. This is Notre Dame, built entirely on the golden section. Why are sacred spaces sacred? And how do we get the sacred to enter? What is the shape of space? Is the transmission of form and ideas inherent to it? And can what is displaced elsewhere be replaced here? It may be that space itself has a shape. Someday we may come to know it. Until then, we have our buildings, our art, places to receive and transmit ideas, and places to recreate the world according to what inspires us. Bricks and mortar for the avant-garde? Absolutely.